Now, this is one thing for the morons on Twitter to try to blame the shooting by this crazed lunatic at 22 who then took his own life on DeSantis. That's Twitter for you. But this is the president of the United States trying clearly to tie what happened there, that racist and madman violence, to Ron DeSantis, despite the fact that there is zero proof that this kid had read a single thing that Ron DeSantis had ever said in any news article, etc. It's quite a leap. It's irresponsible. And there he goes again.
Yeah, I mean, the whole book banning thing is very interesting because what Ron DeSantis was trying to do, along with Glenn Youngkin and others, was in Virginia, was just simply not have a pornographic graphic novel type of literature that portrays transgender or gay sex for minors, have that accessible, and then not teach critical race theory, which says that all things can be explained by racial bias. And the people who were trying to ban books, that was the irony again. I mean, nobody on the right said, let's ban To Kill a Mockingbird. There's a lot of school districts that ban that. They ban Tom Sawyer. They ban a lot of Mark Twain's work because of the N-word, which is not used pejoratively, but just part of the dialogue of the time. So again, it's that projection. And Joe Biden, what I don't understand, Megyn, I understand it, but it's so baffling that here we have Joe Biden, who made a career as a senator, pretty much demagoguing race when he said it was a jungle and against busing. That was fine, but he really demagogued it. And then he had the donut comment, and then put you all back in chains, where he addressed a group of Black professionals as if they were helpless and they needed him to keep them out of slavery. And then he said, you ain't Black. And then he said about Barack Obama, he's the first clean, articulate Black candidate for presidency, which actually wasn't true. Shirley Chisholm ran. It was very impressive. And he just goes at it again and again. He's called, and during his presidency, he's called 2 aides, one guy in Louisiana, another one, I have a boy down here, and we got a good boy here. So if there's anybody who's used racist or insensitive language, it's Joe Biden. And you can cite chapter and verse. But again,
we actually have some of that, Victor. We have a montage of some of the Joe Biden examples, which he gets a complete pass on as he sits there attempting to lecture us about book bans and how the curriculum needs to be in Florida. Here is a bit of that in SOP 4.
It's awful hard as well to get Latinx vaccinated as well. Why? They're worried that they'll be vaccinated and deported.
You have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't Black.
Unlike the African-American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent.
I mean, you got the first sort of mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean.
Oh, my God. I mean, just to hear it that way, right out of the horse's mouth, it's stunning. The examples, we could go on. That was not all of them, as you pointed out in your preamble. Gets a complete pass, and now he has the nerve to try to sit there and lecture us on, he's really upset about the DEI curriculum down in Florida. Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I was going to a car lot, look at cars the other night, and pretty middle-class person was the salesman. One of them said to me just out of the blue, he didn't know who I was or anything, didn't know me. I was a stranger. And he just said, "Can I ask you a question?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "You teach?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Did we impeach a president of the United States for threatening to delay something and investigate the Bidens, but we didn't impeach Biden? So did we impeach the wrong guy for the same crimes that Biden has committed?"
Right.
I said, that's brilliant. I said, that is absolutely brilliant. Joe Smart Biden guy. Didn't threaten to delay. He threatened to cancel unless they fired Victor Shokin. And he changed U.S. foreign policy against the directives of a State Department memo for his own, I think, lucre. And then he went after his likely, or at least the leading opponent in the next election. That's exactly what we impeached Donald Trump for. And I don't think Trump was guilty of either either charged, but Biden surely would be if we would apply the same standard.
That's exactly right. And this whole thing that's happening, yes, with Hunter, but also with Joe and their overseas business dealings is getting more and more interesting. And you're exactly right. So John Solomon's been doing great reporting on what's happening with Hunter and Joe overseas and the firing of that Ukrainian prosecutor. The allegation being that, and we've heard Joe Biden on camera bragging that he's the one who got Victor Shokin, the Ukrainian prosecutor, fired. Son of a bitch, they did it, right? They did it. He threatened to withhold $1 billion in aid unless they fired him, and they fired him. Son of a bitch, they did. Well, his defense to that, because his critics say you did that because Hunter was on the board of Burisma. Shokin was investigating Burisma. Burisma went to Hunter to say, help us out, get the old man off our back, get the old man to get this prosecutor off our back. And that in December of 2015, there was a phone call exactly about that, according to Devin Archer. But even prior to that, it seems clear that the Bidens knew Burisma would like Shokin and the Ukrainian corruption sniffing around them to go away. Well, all along, it's been like, well, the Europeans wanted Shokin gone. They didn't think he was doing a good enough job of investigating corruption. And, our State Department wanted it too. Well, that's actually not true. Now we see this new information that the State Department was actually advocating, was actually saying that they were doing a good job, that Shokin was doing a good job over there in Ukraine. As early as September, like the summer leading up to the guy's firing by Joe Biden, which is why you just said Joe Biden did it against the recommendations and desires of his own State Department at the time. And while all this goes down, Victor Shokin, the fired prosecutor, sits down with Brian Kilmeade. This is a great interview at Fox News. This is via translator. You can hear Shokin's comments, but take a listen to what he said about what went down there in SOT 6.
I do not want to deal in unproven facts, but my firm personal conviction is that, yes, this was the case. They were being bribed. The fact that Joe Biden gave away $1 billion in U.S. money in exchange for my dismissal, my firing, isn't that alone a case of corruption?
So what are we to make of that?
Yeah. Well, he hasn't. What was funny about that, I think he remarked that he was kind of bewildered that Fox asked him for an interview, that nobody had even dared to interview him all these years, because people like John Kerry had promulgated this lie that the State Department had seen that he was corrupt and Joe was just carrying out a government directive. I think the paranoia, though, was we have high crimes and misdemeanors spelled out in the Constitution, but we only have really two specificities, and one is bribery and one is treason. And when you look at a classical definition of treason, it is warping your national interest for your personal benefit, or the benefit of a foreign power. And if he's impeached and they can prove that, of all people, Joe Biden went against the national interest of the United States as reified by a State Department official policy for his own benefit or the benefit of Hunter or the protection of his family, which was against the interest of the United States, and bribery would be part of that, then you have the two things outlined in the Constitution he violated.
Where did you learn about money? Budgeting, saving, investing, and spending. If you're like me, you learned about it the hard way, and it certainly wasn't in school. My parents did the best they could, but I feel like I can do better. I would like my own children to be better at money matters than I was at their age, which is where Busy Kid comes in. Listen to this. Busy Kid is an interactive money management app for kids and teens to help them learn how to earn, save, invest, and spend money wisely. It gives them real-life experience, and it allows parents to still be a safety net with approvals and monitoring. The more kids earn, save, invest, and spend on the app, the more they build healthy financial routines to use as adults. Busy Kid is great for kids and teens 5 to 17 years old, and everyone gets a personalized debit card to learn how to shop and manage invisible money. Busy Kid is offering a limited time special for our audience right now, 20% off a family subscription. So for less than $4 a month, this app and card can transform how your children think about and use money. To start, download BusyKid and enter the promo code MK to get 20% off. Again, download BusyKid, BUSYKID, and use promo code MK for 20% off. There's even a 30-day guarantee. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.